With the car rental industry now being valued at over $100 billion, and with platforms like GetAround and Turo popping in to get a piece of the pie, you and I are probably thinking the same thing. Is there enough demand for me to justify buying my dream car to rent it out? In my last video, I bought a $5,000 Volkswagen Passat just to rent out on Turo to see how much money I could make. And if I'm being honest, the results were shocking. And well, that got me thinking, what if we took this challenge to the next level? And no, not an Escalade like this. I'm thinking something a little bit more exciting. And let's be real, what's more exciting than a Hellcat? Yes, that's right. I bought a Dodge Charger Hellcat just to rent out to see how much money I could make for you guys. This Hellcat is a 2019 with 30,000 miles or so on it, and I paid $55,000 in cash out the door. The last step is to simply add the vehicle to my Turo account and get it listed. If you don't already know, Turo is a peer-to-peer car sharing platform that allows literally anyone with a vehicle to list it on the platform and make some money. And the only requirements that Turo has is the vehicle must be within the last 12 years of age and have 130,000 miles or less. And obviously, since it's a more expensive vehicle than the Passat, I took the time to get professional photos on the Hellcat instead of just snapping photos myself that I did on the Passat. A first impression is obviously super important, and with a more expensive car like a Hellcat, I think it's worth the investment to go above and beyond, especially if you're trying to go for a more expensive daily rate. All right, so now that we have the photos, let's go over my pricing strategy. So if you guys don't already know, the Hellcat does come stock from the factory with two different keys, a red key and the black key. The black key limits the overall horsepower to around 500, and the red key, well, it unlocks the full power and beauty of what makes a Hellcat special. All 707 horsepower unlocked with the red key. So the base price that I set on Turo for this vehicle is just going to include black key access, and if they want to purchase the red key, well, they're gonna have to pay extra. They're gonna have to pay me directly. So the base rate that I'm going with for the black key is $150 a day, and if they want to add the red key, they can do so for $100 extra per day. And well, this extra $100 I'm charging per day, I'm just going to message them after they book the trip to see if they want it, and they can pay me directly via Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, one of those things. So technically that $100 I'm not going to be paying any fees on. I'm only going to be paying fees on the daily rate that I'm charging the guest on the Turo platform. So now that we have the car purchased, we have the professional photos taken, we have our pricing strategy in place, it's time to just wait for a booking. So I know we just went over my pricing strategy and exactly how I wanted to price it, but then I looked at the actual market in my area and there's no Hellcats available for rent. So for the next few days, I changed my pricing on Turo to $375 per day. And literally 15 minutes after I changed the price to $375 per day, we got our first booking. Let's go. And if I'm being honest, I didn't expect it to get booked up at $375, so I just gave him the red key included in that price. But the guest is literally about to be here in 15 minutes, so let's go get it ready. First things first, I need to make sure this bad boy is nice and clean, so I took it for a quick hand wash. Next, I took over 75 photos of the car, so that way I had proof ahead of time before the trip of what the car looks like, just in case the car comes back with damage and I have the proof. In my opinion, this is the most important step. If you're skimping on the photos, you're definitely gonna lose money and get denied for a claim sometime in the future. So if you're taking 75 or more photos, you can count on having the proof of what the car looked like ahead of time so the claims team doesn't actually question you. After uploading all of those photos to the Turo app in the check-in process, including the gas and the mileage, we're all set. I also set up these lock boxes just to make it super easy on me and super easy on the guests. So if you want to know where I got these lock boxes, you can find them in the description down below. So after all of Turo's fees, after it's all said and done on this one-day trip, I'm set to make just about $300. So I kind of have an interesting update for you. I just got the Hellcat back. The guests just returned it, but the vehicle's not in the same condition as I gave it to them in. As you can see here from the photos on screen, this is what the car looked like when I gave it to them. No scratches here up front, and here is the photo. As you can see, a couple scrapes and scuffs on the front bumper when they brought the car back. Thankfully, the guest was super cool about it. I just shot him a text, asked him if he had any idea what happened to the car, and then he just Zelled me an easy $750 for the damage. And to be 100% honest with you, I'm not even going to fix the damage. It's not even that noticeable, and if I'm going to keep this as a rental, it's probably going to happen again. So like I said, the average person isn't even going to be able to notice this scrape, and $750
$200 would be nice in addition to the $300. So it looks like I'm going to come out on top with $1,000 total on this one-day trip.
All right, so the last time I checked in with you guys was about 30 days ago after our first trip with the Hellcat. So let's get to it. How much money did I make in 30 days renting out my Hellcat, and was it worth it? As you already know, on the first trip, we made about $300 from just the daily rate alone, and then an additional $750 from the damage that we decided not to fix. And after that, bookings started to roll in pretty frequent. And as I imagined, most people wanted the red key, as you can see here. And by the end of the month, we had a total of 6 trips booked and 9 out of the 30 days booked out. On the second trip, I charged $200 per day plus an additional $100 per day for the red key, coming out to $730 after Turo's fees. Total revenue for the month was just over $3,000 at $3,296. Given the fact I only rented out the car for 9 out of a total of 30 days, I don't think it's all too bad. And now for what really matters, what were my expenses? Obviously, the first big expense was the car itself at $55,000 in cash. But for some one-time costs, I spent $50 on getting the professional photos done. For insurance, I decided to go with ABI Period X, which is American Business Insurance Period X. It's specifically for Turo hosts, and that comes out to $89 a month. I'll also link ABI Period X down below if you're interested in adding your car to ABI if you want to do Turo as well. I also purchased the bouncy GPS tracker so I can know where the car is, and that was $90. You can also find that linked down below in the description. And finally, the lockbox ran me $50 for that. In my last video, I estimated about $90 that we would have to set aside every single month for future maintenance, but that was for a Volkswagen Passat. This is obviously a Hellcat, so we're gonna have to increase that number a little bit. Tires and brakes we're most likely gonna need at least once a year, and for a 4 set of tires, we can estimate about $800, and brand new brakes all around, we can estimate an additional $800 there as well, for a grand total for brakes and tires at $1,600 for the year. You can also estimate an oil change every other month, and if we estimate $140 per oil change, it comes out to around $70 a month, setting aside dollars for an oil change. So for the oil change, tires, and brakes, a maintenance fund, we can put around $300 aside every single month for that maintenance fund. And because I didn't finance this car, my all-in fixed expenses on a monthly basis comes out to around $600, give or take. And even with that $600 a month, it still leaves about $2,800 in pure profit every single month. However, if I did decide to finance this car, I would estimate my payment to be somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 a month. And if that was the case, well, it'd be a whole different story. I don't think it would be worth it because of the negative equity that would be racking up behind the scenes while you're only paying the monthly payment every single month. All in all, this Hellcat brings in about a 5% return monthly, and that's on the low side, given the fact that it only rented out for 9 out of a total of 30 days. And not to mention the possibilities of renting this car directly to our customers and not having to pay Turo's fees. So, do I think it's worth it? Well, my answer is yes, but only if you're gonna buy it outright in cash. And if you're going to finance, don't do it. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by the channel. And if you're not, well, then you'd know that I actually own and manage a fleet of over 90 vehicles between private rentals and Turo rentals. And the whole point of this video is to show you that it's actually possible, but with the correct systems and processes in place. I started this business 5 years ago with just one car, and if I can scale it to 90 plus cars in a little over 5 years, you can do the same. So if you're curious about getting started in this business and you want to know the most profitable cars to list on Turo, I put together a guide for you guys completely free down below, so be sure to check that out. Or if you want me to dive deep into your situation, answer any questions, and give you a clear plan of action for you to see success, you can also book a one-on-one call with me directly down below. And for the first 2 people to book a call with me, I've discounted as well. So feel free to drop any questions that you have down below, or your own experience. If you've tried Turo out yourself, I'd be happy to hear that. Psst, hey, why haven't you subscribed yet?